I just got one question for the Pan-Africanists out there, for everybody who associates themselves with Pan-Africanism or Darwinism. I just, I'm gonna come to you humble, okay? I'm gonna come to you very humble and composed, and I'm just gonna ask these simple questions for all the listeners, especially the Pan-Africanists out there, okay? Now, on the books, it says that over 20 million slaves were put on ships, okay, and taken off the coast of Africa across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas. Now, the whole reason behind this slave trade was so the European could have the slaves harvest resources for the European. Okay, this was all about resources. Now, this is all about control of resources. Okay, and one thing that is promoted by the Pan-Africanists heavily, one of the things that is promoted heavily by Pan-Africanists out there is that all of the world resources, most of the world resources come from Africa. That's what we are told. That's what we are told, ladies and gentlemen, by everyone who succumbs to the Darwinist theory, to everyone who succumbs to Pan-Africanism. We are told by the mainstream that Africa has most of the world's resources. And I'm here to tell everyone listening today that that is a farce. Okay? That is a fucking farce. Okay? I need everybody to pay attention very carefully. Listen closely to what's being stated here. Okay? So, when we look at this in a nutshell, the transatlantic slave ship theory, that whole notion, okay, was thought of, okay, and it was supposedly carried out because the European wanted to get resources, right? So if Africa is the continent with all of the resources in the world, with most of the precious resources in the world, ladies and gentlemen, why didn't the Europeans just stay in Africa and take over all of Africa? Ladies and gentlemen, the European had the gun, right? The European stole the idea or the invention of the gun, okay? Of gunpowder. The European had the gun with the gunpowder. They could have went to every goddamn village and did the same thing, okay, that they did to the Africans on the west coast of Africa. If Africa had all the resources like we're told, okay, by the mainstream, okay, by the Darwinists. We're told by the Darwinists and by the Pan-Africanists that Africa has most of the world's resources. And I'm here to tell everyone listening today, if this was the case, 400 years of slavery would have happened in Africa. It wouldn't have happened in the Americas, ladies and gentlemen. So you mean to tell me that according to the Pan-Africanists and Darwin's theories, okay, the Africans were taken from the western coast of Africa and brought over to America on a 3-month voyage, okay? A 3-month voyage. Little to no food, little to no water, risking life and limb, okay? When they got on those ships, folks, they risked their lives and everything. Okay? They risked their lives and they risked, the ship sinking. Okay? They risked catching a disease. They risked dying of ammonia asphyxiation. They risked dying of, an accumulation of methane gas appearing on the ships. You know what I'm saying? Because no proper hygiene. Slaves are jam-packed like sardines. Okay? This is what the Europeans were risking. So you mean to tell me that the Europeans were willing to risk themselves dying on a 3-month voyage, okay, to get to across the world, okay? Meanwhile, they had the opportunity to enslave all the Africans in Africa so they could mine all the resources in Africa, and they could have started slavery. 400 years of slavery could have been kicked off in Africa, folks. So basically what I'm saying by this is that this is proof positive, folks, that, you know, if this transatlantic slave ship theory is real, that means that the you know, most of the world's resources cannot be in Africa. Most of the world's resources cannot be located in Africa, because if they were, 400 years of slavery would have happened in Africa, and there would have been no need for any slave ship, okay? Because remember, the whole notion of slavery is using the slaves to harvest the resources out of the land, okay? So you're not going to take 20 million African slaves from Africa to the Americas if Africa is the continent that has all the resources, folks. It's time to wake up, folks. It's time to wake up. 400 years of slavery happened, okay, in North and South America. And it happened because North and South America have more natural resources than Africa. Yes. Yes, folks. Yes, folks, you're hearing me clear. You're hearing me very clear today, okay? So when you want to talk about precious metals and precious resources like gold, let's talk about the gold accumulation that was stolen from the Washita Moors, okay? Back in the late 1400s, early 1500s, okay? And this accumulation of gold got so big over time, okay, the European created their own facility to, keep this gold stored, and it was called Fort Knox. Fort Knox, okay? The gold at Fort Knox belongs to the Washita Moors. Okay, if you look at the gold in Fort Knox, that's some of, the largest accumulations of gold ever found all across the world. Okay, right here in the U.S. Okay, Fort Knox. From the ground to the ceiling, from the ground stacking up to the ceiling. Okay, and that's just in one location in the United States. When we go to the western part of the United States, okay, we have what's known as the gold state, the golden state, which is California. California had an indigenous empire, okay? It had an indigenous empire that was headed by an empress known as Califia, okay? And the Califian Empire, they acquired the most gold from underground out of any other civilization known to man. That's what's not being told to us, folks, by the Darwinists, okay? And the mainstream historians and archaeologists. That's what's not being told by us, okay? So they call California the Golden State because Queen or Empress Califia had the highest accumulation of gold harvested from underground in human history. It's not being told to us by Darwinists. It's not being told to us by mainstream archaeologists, folks. Okay, it's time to wake up. So when we look at Fort Knox gold, we look at the California gold, we'll look at the gold found in Texas, okay? There's a huge gold mine in Texas, and as a matter of fact, it's the deepest gold mine in the world, folks. It's the deepest gold mine in the world, and it's found in Texas, folks. Okay? Do your research. Okay? We are living in the real Holy Land. That's why they had to deceive the people here. That's why they had to lie in our education system here in the Americas. You see, here on Turtle Island. This is why, they're spraying us with chemtrails the most out of any other people on the earth, right here in America. You see, that's why they had to start slavery here, right here in America. It all has to start with America. You see, because it was connected to Atlantis. That's why you have Atlanta in Georgia. See? Most of the world's resources are right where you are living at. Okay? In this same hemisphere. Gold. There's also massive amounts of gold that were found in Peru that was mined by the Incan Empire. The Inca Empire. Okay? The biggest cave, the biggest crystal cave ever found is under the surface of Mexico. These are all documented facts, by the way. These are all documented facts. Okay? And you want to talk about, herbs that are used, for healing, and, other precious resources, certain fruits and vegetables that, cured certain diseases. You know what I'm saying? We got the Amazon. We got the Amazon here. We got the rainforest in Central America. We got the rainforest in the Caribbean as well. Okay? Because this is the first Egypt. This is the first, quote unquote, Israel. Okay? And then you got the Hebrew Israelites talking about, Israel really doesn't mean Isis Ra-El, because how can you mix a Greek word Isis with a Kemetic word Ra? How can you do that? You know how you can do it? The same reason the first synagogue ever found was in Greece. So guess what? The whole Hebrew theology has Greek origins. Okay? So you think that your whole religious doctrine started in Greece, but you don't think a piece of the Hebrew language came from the Greek language? You're out of your goddamn mind. Okay? I use common sense. See, a lot of people who consider themselves woke, they just get a kick out of, plagiarizing and copying what the European pushes out. Not me. I go within my temple. Okay? And I think things over for very long periods of time before I come to my conclusions. Okay? So when you talk about the real children of Isis Ra-El, and you talk about the real Egypt, okay? We are living in that. Okay? Isis Ra-El, Israel, it means the Holy Land. Holy means separate. What separates the Americas from the rest of the world? The Americas have the highest resources found in abundance, okay, out of any other locations on the earth. Okay? I just showed you. We got Fort Knox gold. We got the gold in South America in Peru. Okay? We got the gold in Mexico. That was used by the Olmecs and the Aztecs. The Olmecs and the Aztecs had an extremely large accumulation of gold. Just research Cortez. Research the Spaniard Cortez and what he found, okay, when he landed in Mexico. He found a goddamn city of gold. Okay? He found a city of gold that was being occupied by the Aztecs. Okay? And like I said, Empress Califia had the largest gold accumulation in the known world at one point. Okay, the Spaniards raided them too. Right here, we got silver. We got silver from Nevada. That's why Nevada is called the Silver State. That's why Nevada is called the Silver State, folks. You see? Because one of the largest silver beds in the world is found under the surface of Nevada. That's why they call Nevada the Silver State. See? And guess what? If you really want to get technical, and this is really going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, crystals are more valuable to the human well-being than diamonds are. Crystal stones are more valuable and, are more helpful to human well-being, okay, more so than diamonds. We are told by mainstream media, we are told by the Zionists, we are told by the archaeologists and the biologists and all these same Freemason deception artists who promote Darwinism, okay, and the out of Africa theory. Those same people say that the diamond is the most valuable object on the earth. And I'm here to tell you, no, the hell it's not. It is the crystal stones. It's the crystal stones, because the crystal stones vibrate on a whole different frequency than the diamond. The crystals, okay, they have a different structure. They have a different subatomic structure than the diamond. Go look it up. They have a different molecular makeup as well. Okay, go look it up, folks. And the crystals actually help the electromagnetic vortexes, okay, that orbit around our body. The crystal helps guide that back to the Earth's vibration. The crystal helps our auras match the Earth's vibration. That's what the crystals do. Okay? The crystals suck away the harmful radiation in our body. Let me repeat. The crystals absorb and suck away the harmful radiation from our body, which means the crystals absorb that low EMF frequencies that are being emitted by the 5G towers and the cell phone towers. Okay? So you talk about that whole 5G thing. Guess what? Crystal beds can basically take on that radiation. They can absorb that radiation, folks. The crystal, okay, is the most important material solid substance on the earth. It's the crystal, not the goddamn diamond, folks. We've been mind fucked. Okay? So Africa does not have the world's number one most precious material object, and it is not the largest accumulator of natural resources on this earth. Okay? And like I said, if what I'm saying is bullshit, 400 years of slavery would have happened in Africa. And guess what? The European would have been more than capable. The European would have been more than capable of enslaving most of the Africans in Africa. Because like I said, what other tribes in Africa had guns with gunpowder like the Europeans did during that time frame? I wanna see it. Okay, Darwinists and Pan-Africanists out there, I want to see it. Okay, where were the tribes that had guns with gunpowder in abundance like the European during 1500 to 1700? Okay, so like I said, when you look at the make-believe story that they tell us, 20 million Africans being taken off of the coast of Africa, going to America, that fake story right there that they tried to push, that proves that America has more resources than Africa. That proves it. Because why would they risk their lives on a 3-month voyage? Okay? Facing, all these damn possible calamities. You know what I'm saying? You got bacteria accumulation. They could have been hit with disease. Okay, famine. They couldn't have stored and stocked that much to eat and drink on those damn ships. They had 350 to 500 slaves on the ship. Okay? So there's no way possible they could have stored enough food and water and hygiene material to take care of all 350 to 500 people on those ships. Okay? They couldn't have stored all the resources necessary to keep everybody up and running for 3 goddamn months, folks. Okay? So this whole notion that, Africa is the breadbasket, ladies and gentlemen, I beg to differ. Okay? So like I said, this is my question for the Pan-Africanists out there. Why didn't the European, okay, and this is according to your notion, this is according to the Pan-Africanist notion that Africa is the breadbasket and the motherland, right? And it has all the natural resources in the world, most of the natural resources in the world. So, okay, knowing this, as the Europeans were taught, okay, by the same Freemasons everybody else was taught by, why didn't the European take over Africa and use the slaves that they enslaved to basically raid Africa of its natural resources? Why didn't they do it from 1450 to 1700? You know what I'm saying? Like it says on the books. You see, people, the slave ship theory proves that Africa is not the land with all the resources. Slavery happened in the Americas. 400 years of slavery happened in Americas. Okay? That is because the European knew that the Americas had all the goddamn resources. They knew about the cities of gold. Okay? The cities of silver and crystal. They knew about the platinum. Okay? About the platinum that the Inca found. Okay? And platinum doesn't even age. Okay? Platinum means platina. Okay? Silver under the river, under the Amazon River. Okay? I'm trying to tell you folks, it's all in reverse. It's all in reverse, folks. We are in the original Egypt. We are in the original Israel. Okay, so when you talk about those ships, you're talking about a smaller number of indigenous people that were sailing out the opposite way, that were actually sailing to Africa. Okay? It was told to us in reverse, folks. Slave ship theory has been debunked. It has been debunked. And it proves that the Americas have more resources than Africa, because if Africa had all the resources, you know what I'm saying? There's no reason for the Europeans to risk all these damn calamities and all this harm with a 3-month voyage when all they have to do is just keep enslaving the Africans with the guns that they have. You see what I'm saying? And have the Africans, give them the resources. But nope. According to the books, the Europeans took those individuals from the western coast of Africa, sailed to America, and robbed America's resources. The Americas, okay, got robbed of the resources. That's why you have facilities like motherfucking Fort Knox, okay? Stealing the Moors gold. Stealing the Moors and the Moors gold. Okay? That's why you have the 1849 gold rush, where they robbed and pillaged the villages of the Califians of their gold accumulations, okay? And they did the same thing, okay, to the Native Americans living in Texas, okay? So later on down the line, what do? Oh, they established the world's deepest gold mine, okay, to keep robbing the damn resources, and they make you pay top dollar to have what's already rightfully yours, okay? Another huge gold accumulation under the surface of Peru, which was found by the Inca, okay? And right here, you have the largest crystal caves in the world found under the surface of Mexico. And like I said before, the crystal stones are the most valuable objects, material objects in the world. Okay? When you talk about, actual elements that come from the earth, okay, they supersede the diamond. Okay, the last time I checked, the diamond isn't absorbing no radiation. People aren't putting diamond nodes or diamond diodes in their phones to absorb the radiation. Okay? They're not using the diamonds, they're using the crystals. Okay, so, I just wanted to get that information off of my chest. And, I need to put this information out there because it's time for people to really wake up and accept reality, because we have been lied to, folks. The slave ship theory. Okay, there were only slave ships that left from Europe to America. Let me repeat. The only slave ships left from Europe to America. And the so-called slaves were prisoners of war. They were Moors who were overthrown out of power from Spain, okay, in 1492. And they were forced to show Christopher Columbus the route to America. Okay, and when they got to America, the indigenous Moors were already here. The Washita Moors were already here. The Olmec, the Inca, the Maya, the Aztec, the Califian, okay, the Choctaw, the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Iroquois, the Blackfoot, the Seminole, okay, the Apache. They are nothing but branch offs from the Washita natives, folks. So, like I said, when you talk about the slave story, the whole story of the slave ship and the enslavement of indigenous people in the Americas, you're talking about the corporate Moors, the M-O-O-R-S. See, the Moors, the M-O-O-R-S, they wanted to live in the matrix. The Moors wanted to live in the matrix. So the Moors had a money system, and they had a dictator-like empire set up. Okay? The M-O-O-R-S, the Moors, they were corporate. Okay? They lived in the corporate society, in the corporate world. And when those Moors were overtaken and kicked out of Europe, they were forced to show Christopher Columbus and the Europeans the route to America. Okay? And, they were forced to show all of the whereabouts of the indigenous Moors, okay? And all of the secrets of the Moors. Okay, that's how the indigenous Moors were taken over on their own land. Okay? Because their own people who were living in Europe, who established a corporate empire away from nature, okay, those Moors were overthrown, forced to show Christopher Columbus the route to America because they were prisoners of war. Okay, so that's really what went down. There were no indigenous slaves from Africa, okay? At least not the number that they're talking about. They're talking about 20 million, nowhere near, Okay, that would take in between 66 and 70,000 slave ships. Let me repeat, 66 and 70,000 slave ships. What the hell happened to them? That's what I want to know. That's what we want to know on RFG, YouTube channel. That's what we want to know. Where the hell are the 66 to 70,000 slave ships? Okay, so that's really all the information I had to get off on my chest regarding this topic. I appreciate everyone who supports RFG and Atlantean movement. Oh, I also forgot to say the world is also upside down. This map that you're looking at, folks, the real world map is upside down. It's called I believe it's called the Peters map, and it is the real map of the world. That's going to be my next topic for my next series of videos. I appreciate everyone who supports RFG and Atlantean movement. Please like and share and subscribe. It's the Chosen One, man. I'm out.